It's Morgan and Wong week, and when most people think of Morgan and Wong and MillenniuM, they're thinking of Season 2. Everything about Morgan and Wong is all wrapped up in Season 2 episodes. But, even sometimes I forget that they even had their impact on Season 1. In fact, they wrote a couple of key episodes, and we're going to take a look at one today, Dead Letters.
Daddy? Daddy?
What's the matter, honey?
I had a bad dream.
Oh, come on. Everybody has bad dreams.
Why?
There's something so heroic about Frank Black that we often forget about. And it's so amazing when we see Frank in Season 1 where he has his family life and he has his work life and he's trying to keep them separated. And it's very interesting when we see in this episode when he runs into another profiler. Someone whose marriage is falling apart, he's separated, he's having a hard time adjusting to the world around him, he's having a hard time separating himself from his cases, he keeps getting pulled in too far, and it's really striking about how this is Frank at Season 2 and rolling into Season 3. That Morgan and Wong here plant the seeds. They show us the future Frank. And we don't know it's coming. But when you go back and look at an episode like this, it's amazing to see how Frank develops into this person that he's even warned about becoming.
I don't want to come off like a jerk, but I go by James now.
Okay, James.
Thanks. It's no big thing. You profiling me? You got that look like you're profiling me.
No, James, just wondering what's wrong.
Sorry. My wife and I are going through a separation, and I had to disconnect the fax line out at the house, and the phone company, man, they can make you feel like a worthless ass.
Sorry to hear about your wife. See, you have a kid. Me too.
That's my boy, TC. He's turned 2.
I've never been separated. I hear it's rough.
It's work.
Now, James Horn as this other profiler, this future version of Frank, he's another candidate trying to get into the MillenniuM group, and the two of them, their interplay here is so amazing, because this really is a conversation you could see Frank in his own mind having with himself. And in the future, in Season 2, when he begins to doubt himself, begins to doubt the MillenniuM group and why he's doing all this, it's really amazing to see that this other profiler could have this problem that Frank thinks he's really immune from. And Frank knows that he's had a breakdown before. And that's the reason why he left the FBI in the first place. And he thinks it can't happen again. This can't be him in the future. And yet, it's kind of a sad prophecy that that's where he ends up. But these two, Horn and Black, the way they're working together here, there's one point where James Horn says, I get so deep into these guys' minds, I kind of lose myself. And Frank says, no, they're getting in your mind. Frank here recognizes the problem that sometimes you get so deep into the work that you're doing that you lose grasp of everything else around you. And you start to psych yourself out when you're trying to psych out the other guy. In fact, they do a really good psych out in this episode, and our crazy serial killer here, well, he doesn't react very well. Now, when I talked about the pilot episode a couple months back, one of the things I said, it was so amazing how in the pilot episode, Frank's gift is actually treated differently. It's thought of differently. And here, Morgan and Wong are starting to push it in this other direction, the direction that we've come to know, where it's this psychic flash, this gift, this vision from God or whatever, as opposed to the way it originally was in the pilot, where Frank becomes evil and basically allows himself to become corrupted. And there's kind of a mix of these two different ideas here, that by Frank's flashes of insight, his ability to gain access to the mind of a killer and becoming a little bit of evil, he loses a little piece of himself. And again, we've said it happened before, which is why he left the FBI in the first place, before season 1 even started, and it's going to happen again in the future. And one big key question that Frank has to keep asking himself is, why am I doing this? Catherine is always there asking him, why, Frank? Why? Why are you in so deep? And Frank asks himself, why? Why do I do it? And it's really one of those great things where you realize that Frank is sacrificing himself. Frank is putting himself out there and allowing himself to become that evil, to become corrupted, because that's the only way that you're going to save people.
Just checking in. I'm back to Seattle.
Everything in the van is inadmissible.
The victim's possessions were found at the subject's house. Hair and fiber, DNA samples. District attorney feels it's enough that he won't get away.
I wanted to work with the group. And I know because of my actions that's over, but I need you to tell me. Help me, Frank. How do you do this? Why do you do it?
Heroes often get asked, why do you do it? Why do firefighters run into a burning building? Why do police officers go to the scene of a shooting? I mean, those are things that logic tells you you don't go there. You don't play in the traffic. You don't mess around with the serial killers. And yet Frank keeps going there. And why? Because he has to. Who else is going to do it? And even if it means putting his life on the line, every time a firefighter goes into the burning building, there's a chance he may not come out alive. Every time Frank gives himself into this power, every time he allows himself to become that evil, there's a chance he's not coming back. And he uses his daughter, he uses his wife as that base, that part that keeps him human. And that could all be lost. And it's really amazing to me how Morgan and Wong plant those seeds here, that when I originally saw this episode, I'm sure I missed it. But when you go and you watch season 2 and you watch season 3 and then you come back, you think, oh my gosh, look what these guys are doing. Think of how amazing it could have been if they worked like Lost, where they had an endpoint in mind and they were able to sit down and actually figure all this stuff out and plant these wide arcs. One of the problems with TV at that time is that you really had to have Frank attacking you in the back and trying to knock you out. I guess I freaked him out too much. But the point remains is that TV at that time had to be broken into weekly episodes because they didn't think people were going to stick around. And if Frank Black were to come back today and they were allowed to do the TV show the same way that TV shows are done now, drawing the viewers in week after week, giving them that big picture story, it'd be the best thing on television.